This demonstration is going to be of contour line drawing. It's for the hand and feet drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take a pen so that I can't actually go back and erase. Contour technically is an outline of the drawing. We are going to actually do cross contour, which means we're going to include some details that actually go through the hand itself. So I'm actually going to start toward my wrist, and you'll notice that I'm drawing very, very slowly because basically I have to compare what I'm doing to what my hand looks like. And if I make a little bit of a mistake, it's not a huge deal, but I'm actually like eyeballing how large it is from my wrist. I'm moving up that back side of my hand up to where my pointer finger is. It's okay if you actually pick your pen up off the paper, but you do want to, when you start again, you want to actually go in a very solid motion. We don't want to have any of this like sketchy type stuff that you're probably used to at this point. The whole idea behind doing a contour line drawing is that you're going to go very slowly and you're going to compare all of the different angles and just parts that go in and out of your fingers. So actually up here I'm getting towards the top of that pointer finger, and I'm going to come around and I'm going to go back down over the top of that knuckle that's there, and there's actually like a knuckle that goes across this direction. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back down on that next section of the finger, and I can see there's another part where my knuckle bends there, and then I'm going to actually draw, and I made it a little bit too fat there for what my finger actually is. Again, it's going to actually come down this direction, and I can see that I missed my fingernail, so I'm actually going to go back up in here and I'm going to like include that little detail. And if I pull the sketchbook down, you can actually see what I'm doing. I think as I was drawing here, it pushed the sketchbook up off the page. So as I'm coming back, I can actually see that my middle finger, the negative space that's between it, started in the middle of that other drawing. And here I can see I made a little bit of mistake. I'm going to come back, and unfortunately I'm going to have to leave that error in the drawing. As I do more of these, because you are going to want to do at least probably maybe 3 of them, and I have my knuckle there that I'm going to put in there. Then I'm going to come back down a little bit. Oh, and I can see I actually need to make that come out a little bit farther. Here is the other part of the knuckle. I'm going to come down again. And one of the things is as I'm talking to you, I'm actually drawing a little bit too fast, and what's happening is it's actually making the measurements that I'm trying to figure out with my drawing. The measurements are actually coming off a little bit. So here I'm coming back to where my thumb is. I'm making that come up off the page. I'm going to come around and underneath the thumb, and I'm going to come to where that knuckle kind of bends over, and then I'm going to come down into where that meatier part of my hand is, and I'm going to draw a couple, and it's going to come over this way a little bit, and I can see that actually goes down into my wrist. The other thing that I want to see is I actually kind of missed part of my thumb over here, so I'm going to come back. I'm going to try to get that angle in my thumb that comes down this direction, and then I can actually see there's like a little bit of a curve in there, and then I can see kind of how that thumb is sort of starting to develop. As I do that, I want to come back, and I'm going to actually put my fingernail in there, and the fingernail actually comes up off the thumb, and then I can actually see there's like this little bit of a lighter part to where the skin underneath my finger is going. Then if I look underneath my thumb, I can see my ring finger, and because of the way I'm holding my hand, I actually can only see this little bit of my finger over here. So I'm going to start drawing this direction, and this time I'm going to draw the fingernail first. Hopefully that will go okay. And there, as I'm drawing that, you can see I did that part. I'm going to come underneath here, and I'm going to actually draw this bottom, the meatier part of my finger, and I did make it a little bit too wide right here. It's much too wide, and again, it's because as I'm demonstrating here, I'm talking a little bit too much, and I'm not concentrating enough on measuring and where that finger is actually going. Then I can actually see, actually I'm going to have two knuckles on my pinky finger that goes underneath, and that finger kind of comes like this, and then there's technically a little bit of the fingernail just like that. And then I can actually see that my hand comes down this direction, and I'm going to have this, that palm part of my hand, and then it's going to go into the wrist down here. And I'm actually going to take some of these lines that I had in here before, and I'm going to actually make a couple more that go into here, because technically I can see that I've got like all these lines in my hand, and that's actually going to help show the depth that's in there. Later on, if I wanted to go back and put some value into this, that would actually help describe that this part is much farther behind that other part. You can see where on my hand it's actually darker right there, and there's some other darker spots that I could actually improve the drawing by putting some value into it. Another thing that I want to notice is I can actually see that my shirt is around my hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sort of like a J here, and I can see it kind of comes off the page, but if I look at my actual hand, the shirt goes something like that. And if I move this over, hopefully you can see that. There is another little line that goes here. I have to make sure that I'm including all these things because my arm is inside my shirt, so I need to be able to show that. Another thing that I could show is I can actually show the thickness of the shirt that I'm wearing. And notice how I said oops there, because I accidentally went a little bit too fast, and sometimes when you go too fast you get these little weird errors that happen in the drawing. So then as I'm going there, I can see that there's a seam in my shirt, and I'm actually going to make that seam, and you could probably do it solid, or you can actually go and make the little marks from the sewing. That's just how the sewing machine actually works there. And then I'm going to look at the other side of my shirt, and I'm going to finish that. And then technically where it's going in and out, I want to actually look at this, because I could technically make like all the different little curves that are in my shirt as well. So there you have a gesture drawing of your hand. I could probably practice this a little bit more. I do have a couple little errors in measurement, like this is too thin compared to how this bottom part is, and really what it is this is a little bit too fat and that's a little bit too thin. So on part of this, as I was going too fast, I actually made a couple of little errors, and it's why you have to kind of tune everything else out while you're drawing, because you have to be thinking about all the measurements that happen in the figure as you're drawing whatever figure you're drawing. Right now I'm talking about my hand, but I could be talking about a portrait, or I could be talking about a figure as well.